Hello, my name's Kiahi Tiai, and this is my film analysis presentation of Kimi no Na wa, also known as Your Name. The synopsis of the film includes Mitsuha Miyazumi, a young teenager who lives in a small rural village in Japan, who wishes to leave her boring town and yearns to try her luck in the big city, Tokyo. Taki Tachibana, a high school boy living in Tokyo, is an aspiring artist and architect who works a part-time job in an Italian restaurant in the city. The two characters become connected through a series of events that transcend time and reality. Those events include Mitsuha and Taki essentially time traveling and switching bodies. Concepts that we'll be going over in this presentation include a general look at Japanese culture, media, language, nonverbal communication, and cultural dimensions that are noticed in the film. To begin, it's important to understand Japanese culture in order to appreciate the movie. Cultural differences between Japanese culture and U.S. culture include religious practice, high culture context, a homogeneous population, collectivism, traditional and hierarchical values in Japan. While Christianity is one of the main religions in the U.S., it is not a main religion in Japan. In fact, Buddhism and Shinto are the two religions most people identify with in Japan. Japan is also known to have a high culture context. This probably goes hand in hand with its homogeneous population, most individuals being Japanese. Japan is overall known to be a collectivistic society, especially in comparison to the U.S. Japan is also very traditional, and this is seen in the practice and obedience of social hierarchy, as well as using honorifics when addressing individuals. Moving on, let's talk about media. Before we analyze the film Kimi no Na wa, it's important to consider the importance of the medium used to create the film. The fact that Kimi no Na wa is an anime, which is a style of Japanese and television animation, already gives much indication about popular culture and media in Japan. Visual arts in Japan has always held significant importance and has a very rich history in Japan. Consider ikebana, the ancient art of Japanese flower arrangements, and chado, the ceremonial preparation and aesthetic presentation of green tea and or matcha. Many who are familiar with anime are also familiar with manga, a style of Japanese comic books and graphic novels. While manga is different from anime, it does have a great influence on anime. Many popular animes today derive from mangas. However, there are few instances where mangas can derive from animes. With that being said, however, many animes are also created without deriving from mangas, such as Kimi no Na wa. The fact that Kimi no Na wa was titled the most popular film of 2017 rather than the most popular animated film in 2017, as stated by the Japanese Academy, shows just how important and significant anime is in Japanese culture. Moving on, we have language. Viewers watching Kimi no Na wa have the option to watch the movie either dubbed or subbed. Dubbed is when the original voices and language is filtered out and replaced with another, in this case, English voices. Or subbed, which is when the anime is in its original audio format and subtitles are given. However, there are a few translation problems with the dubbed version that viewers won't catch unless they watch the subbed version or are fluent in both Japanese and English. Vocabulary equivalence is when words from different languages share similar or exact meanings. There are many instances in Kimi no Na wa where vocabulary equivalence takes a toll. For example, the movie cuts to a classroom scene 9 minutes in. In this scene, the teacher discusses Japanese vocabulary and the differences, similarities, and relationships between the words Tasokare, tasogare doki, and katewari doki. Tasokare in Japanese by definition means who is that? However, in English it translates to twit, which is used as an insult to describe someone as silly or dumb. Tasokare is the origin word for tasogare doki. Tasogare doki, meaning twilight, is an expression that was used at twilight, when it became impossible to tell people apart and identify who was who, and therefore also became associated with twilight itself. Tasogare doki has no English expression or vocabulary equivalent, since twilight is English is only understood to refer to the time of day. During the lecture, a student asks about the word kateware doki, which literally means the dim hour just before sunset, during which we have to ask somebody their name in order to tell who they are. The teacher in the movie informs the student and the audience that kateware doki is local dialect to Itemori and is mostly used by the elderly, and that it's listed as classical language specific to their place. Furthermore, there is grammatical syntactical equivalence. In one of the many scenes where Mitsuha and Taki switch bodies, Taki refers to himself using I. However, in Japanese, there are many different ways an individual can use I in different circumstances. There is the female I and the male I, as well as the formal and informal I. Watakushi and watashi are both used for females, while boku and ore for males. Here is a scene from Your Name.
迷った？お前さ、どうやったら通学で道に迷えんだよ。
私。僕。俺楽しかったんやよ。なんか毎日お祭り。
You got lost. Yeah. Wait a second. How'd you wind up getting lost on the way to school?
Well, a girl.
A girl?
A gal. I mean, a guy. You know, guys just want to have fun. Every day's a festival when you're living in Tokyo.
Lastly, there is conceptual equivalence. Conceptual equivalence, as stated by Fred E. Jant, refers to abstract ideas that may not exist in the same fashion in different languages. In Kimi no Na wa, audience members learn the term musubi. Hitoha, Mitsuha's grandmother, teaches Yotsuha and Mitsuha the meaning of musubi, a term important to not only Itomori but their family as well. Hitoha states, musubi is a word laden with meaning. Joining thread is musubi. Joining people is musubi. The passage of time is musubi. 2. Our God's power envelops all those things. Look at the braided cords we make. Those are the God's art, and they represent the flow of time. They come together to make a shape, twisting and tangling, sometimes coming undone, breaking off, then reuniting. That's musubi. That's time. Understanding musubi and its important relation to time and how time is not linear is a huge concept that is needed to be understood in order to grasp the plot that happens in the movie. Moving on, we have dialects and as well as accents. Watching the film subbed, if viewers pay attention closely to the translation, it's easy to notice subtle differences in the intended accents. Although it almost is impossible for non-Japanese speakers to hear and differentiate between Japanese accents when including subtitles, the translators made sure to create subtitles that indicate an accent. Mitsuha, a teenage girl who lives with her family in the rural parts of Japan. Translators alluded to Mitsuha and her family having an accent by using what would be known Mitsuha is a teenage girl who lives with her family in the rural parts of Japan. Translators alluded to Mitsuha and her family having an accent by using what would be known in English as a country accent. They included words that translated to English and are equivalent to country terms such as y'all, fixin', been, and ain't, and many more. Even if users do not catch the subtle use of these words in the subtitles, there is a scene where Mitsuha and Taki found out they are in fact switching bodies and decide to lay some ground rules why they switch bodies. One of these rules for Mitsuha, while she's in Taki's body, is no dialect. Moving on, we have nonverbal communication. Body language is a huge factor in this anime and is important to understand in order to indicate when the body switching phenomena between Mitsuha and Taki take place. Mitsuha's body language, whether she's herself or inhibiting Taki's body, is generally more feminine and also reserved. Reserved in the sense that she has good posture and keeps her arms, hands, and feet to herself and tries not to take up much space. Mitsuha usually looks more tense and tends to keep her arms very close to the side of her body, almost in a cowering position. She also is seen blushing far more times than Taki. Taki, on the other hand, generally has a more relaxed and somewhat slouched posture compared to Mitsuha. His hands and arms movements are more drastic and take up more space. Compared to Mitsuha, he has more confrontational gestures, like crossing his arms. An example of a confrontational gesture is when he inhabits Mitsuha's body. He hears girls in Mitsuha's classroom talking negatively about her, and as a result, he knocks a desk over with his foot. Taki is considered having more manly gestures too, even when inhabiting Mitsuha's body. On a few occasions, it's noted that when inhabiting Mitsuha's body, he needs to be more mindful of when she's wearing a skirt. Lastly, although Japanese culture overall is generally collectivistic, Kimi no Na wa portrays both collectivistic and individualistic societies in Japan. Collectivism is easily seen as an integral part of Mitsuha's lifestyle. Despite her estranged and distant relationship with her father, she is very close with her grandmother and sister. Mitsuha, being a part of the Miyamizu family, also has duties as a priestess for her family shrine. She participates in family traditions such as the sacred dance ritual and the making of kachikami sake, which is performed publicly where townspeople can gather and watch. The multiple appearances of Mitsuha's grandmother, Hitoha, and her little sister, Yotsuha, suggest collectivism within the family. However, Mitsuha's family role with the town shrine shows collectivism with the town Itomori. Mitsuha's mission to hopefully save everyone in her town from disaster also suggests a collectivistic culture. Rather than only saving herself or even just her family, Mitsuha devises a plan in hopes of evacuating everyone from the imminent disaster. Another character in the story that emphasizes collectivism is Teshi, one of Mitsuha's closest friends who aids in the mission of saving the town. When asked by Mitsuha and Sayaka what his plans are after school, he expresses his plan to follow his father and take over the family company. On the other hand, however, Taki seems to lead a more individualistic lifestyle. This is mostly common in big cities such as Tokyo. Tokyo, an urban lifestyle and city, also includes that of a busy lifestyle. Taki lives with his father, and it's understood that his parents divorced early on. However, his father is only shown once throughout the movie, and that is the only time that we see any tie to any sort of family relation. Unlike Mitsuha, Taki is also focused more on individual endeavors. Even though self-centered sounds a bit harsh, he definitely focuses on himself, unlike Mitsuha, who not only has to think of herself, but also thinks of familial duties and how her leaving Itomori would impact her family. And that is it for my presentation. Thank you.